So, let's see. So we're 7:01. We'll call the meeting to order.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and let's see. So, Chris, you had done the minutes for last month.
Yep.
I know that they looked good to me.
Is that
Um,
a good format for you guys? I mean, I'm taking this from my biotech program management like background to do like
yep,
actions and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Is
to
that
me,
okay?
notes are notes. We all have a little bit of a different style.
No.
Uh, I followed it fine. Um, I think ones that I've taken in the past may be slightly different, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here kind of going, yeah, no, I don't like them. You gotta do it
Okay.
my way. No,
Okay.
you're never gonna hear me say that.
Okay. I
We're
mean,
all volunteers here.
I mean, I have no job, so I mean, do you want me to do them going forward? Would that be
I mean,
okay? I mean, Laura, I
I,
know that you were.
yeah, I'm scheduled to, but if you want to, because you have no job, I'm not going to say, oh, please let me keep it.
This will keep me out of trouble.
I'm sitting here with my computer open and I sent you guys the in advance template and I'm feeling like I'm on the ball. But hey, if you want to take over, I pass it to you.
All right, I'll give it another go and see if everybody's still okay with that. But
All
yeah,
right.
good, okay.
So ignore the thing I sent you. I will do no more with it.
All right. So, Laura, did you have a chance to take a look through those?
I did. Yes, I
Okay.
did. And they looked great.
All right. So I'll just make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August.
Second,
All right. Um, all in favor?
I
Rick, aye.
I'll be in favor, but I have a slanted point of view, so
Well,
a skewed point of view.
you still get
with a team of three, it doesn't matter.
All
So,
right,
you
good,
don't
right,
get to
good.
abstain from
for
that one.
voting purposes, yeah. So yeah, and just to let you guys know, right? Because I had done the meeting minutes for quite a while, when Rich was chair and all that type of stuff. So, uh, you know, I always kind of thought the same way, and they're like, look, we only there's only three of us, so it's not going to be a 50%, just two people approving, right? We all
Right.
have a say, we all do the review, then we all vote, regardless if
Okay,
one of us is doing them or not. So,
okay.
and
And then
we're
just
we're good.
related to minutes, I mean, Denise had asked for somebody had asked for prior
Oh yeah.
minutes. Yeah, so what's the
So I checked in
bottom line
with
on that?
Kathleen, and she's gonna see if she can give Rick the approval. The hard thing is the way the system works, certain things that seem minor actually require like the top level access to the entire website. Even though they seem like minor ads, just the kind of bump up of approval. So she's gonna see if she can figure out how to give Rick approval for like just our page or just whatever. But if not, he would have to get access to the entire web page. And obviously they're trying to limit that. Not that they think, Rick, you're gonna do anything. But for instance, I had to like swear on a non-Bible that I promise I will not touch the website ever.
Hmm.
Just to get those, and I've basically ignored the website. So anyway, the long story, medium long of that is if she can figure it out, she'll give it to you, Rick. Otherwise, I can just share my login, which has access to everything, and we can decide, who logs in as me and just does that step. And then the how to, the website's not very counterintuitive. So it's going to need to be kind of written out like step by step how to do it to make sure that we're following the right procedure. Other than when
Yeah.
people ask, I don't think anyone's really all that stressed about it because the
Yeah,
website's still learning
right.
Okay.
process.
Yeah.
So these minutes, I mean, should I send them to Denise and have her post them? What's the
Yeah,
best
I
way to
mean,
do it?
I would say for now that's probably good only because then we know we're kind of doing everything the way it's supposed to be, and then she can be aware that obviously we're attempting to do it on our own, but we want to make sure we do everything
Okay.
the same way as every other group. So yeah, I guess that can't hurt. And then if I or they give me the how to, then we can figure out, is that a process that should be on Chris because he's taking minutes? Is that process that should be on me because it's my access? Should that be a process that's on whoever,
Okay. Cool.
I
Good.
think we have the how to, right? I think they sent us the how to.
They
And I
did.
I tried to go in and do it. It just I didn't have the access rights to be able to upload.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I believe all the how-tos are based on the top level of ability, and sometimes there's two ways to do the same thing based on your ability. So depending on the how-to, I believe is based on my login. If they're able to figure it out with you with a different access level, then it may be a different how-to.
Got it.
Got it.
Fair. Okay.
And who's this person who's supposed to give Rick access? This person you referred to?
The
Kathleen, so
assistant town
she's-
clerk.
Yeah,
Yep.
Assistant counselor?
Assistant town clerk.
assistant. Yeah, assistant.
Oh, town clerk.
So,
Oh,
like-
yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Like Denise used to be that for
Yeah.
Kelly.
Kelly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I was about
Thank
to
you.
say Kathy, and I went, nope, Kathy's wrong. Kelly. Got it.
Yeah.
All righty. All right. Great. Thanks.
All right. Do we have? I know I didn't check in with you before, Maria, but do we have any updates at all in terms of the financials from Kenny?
Still no end of year, so I didn't do any financial or director's report thing for tonight. Obviously, I didn't email you all anything because skipping over all of that, and then we'll do kind of catch up when we get it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So let's go right to this
Director's report.
family leave piece.
Yeah. So director's report tonight is really just an update. I've had meetings with Joe and Sandy and a phone conversation meeting with Rick about this, but Laura and Chris, to catch you up. Grace and I have been, well, we're almost at the final stage of being actually signed off, but we've had our home visits, done the trainings, whatever, for foster to adopt, for trying to expand our family. And which is very exciting.
That's great. Yeah.
But also involves a lot of planning because it's the style of building a family that doesn't involve a 9-month grace period of being aware that this is coming. So I don't know how much you two are aware of this process, but once you signed off, it can be 5 hours notice, it can be 5 years notice. You don't know what's going to happen. And we've heard stories of both. We've heard stories of people who waited years and years, and we've heard stories of people who said, I was cleared 2 days ago and I got the call from the hospital. Yeah. And you never know. So the meetings with everybody has really been, based on time of year. If we, so the soonest we could get cleared, we believe, is going to be end of October. That would be quick, but we're trying to do it as quick as possible. So that's the soonest. It's probably more likely to be November, but anyway, the soonest is end of October. If that were the case, there's one scenario. If March was when we got the call, that would be a different scenario. If June was when we got the call, that would be a different scenario.
Yeah.
Based on, just how this department runs. So the plan that is sort of in place right now is a couple steps. The first step is we need to create a job description for a proper program director, adult level, think of a stay-at-home parent, a teacher on summer break, that level person who could run Kids at Play to the point where there's literally nobody who needs to call me type of taking care of it. Currently, our program directors, I'm still kind of the adult who comes in. If there needs to be a real conversation with a parent, I get called in. If there's a financial question, I get called in. Safety thing, I get called in. So we need someone to replace those calls.
Mhm.
Not necessarily, obviously texting and stuff makes it easy, but it's going to be a little bit of we're going to have to kind of plan for the worst and hope for the best type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think we all have agreed that we need that style person no matter what. This is a bit rushed and going to be a bit of a going backwards or going in like reverse order of how it should go because of my potential timeline. And it may all be fine, but obviously we have to plan in case it's not. So job description for that style person, and then to just kind of edit the current job description to really be more of an assistant director style person for those college kids who are currently our program directors.
Right.
That needs to then go through the personnel board and get approved. So all of that takes time, which is why that's kind of our immediate first step. Our other step is we need to go in front of the finance committee and really work out the details of getting probably about 20% of my pay taken off Retcom and put on the town. That needs to go through finance committee and then town meeting. So that's going to be a tough one because finance committee could potentially say no. But even if they say yes, to back up, that 20% would open up the flexibility for our budget to be able to take on the additional cost of this higher level director.
Right.
So we kind of need that to be a yes, basically. And so assuming we get through finance committee, we have to go to town meeting. And the hard part with that timeline is town meeting is in May.
Right.
So assuming that we get approved in May, we'll still have to have started looking for this person probably closer to March.
Right.
So we're really going to have to hire. So, this is contingent upon your pay being approved in 2 months.
Right.
Because we really can't start looking in May. That timeline doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
So it puts a lot of obstacles in our way to get through all of those steps. Finance committee, doesn't meet that often. Personnel board doesn't meet that often. So you really have maybe a once a month chance, maybe, with each of those committees. So time goes by quickly. And they don't even meet once a month. It's really just if you ask, you might get in that month type of thing. So that's really the timeline. But all of that, if we even talk about the quickest, we're talking 3 months from now. That's next year.
Right.
So now we're getting
Right.
close to when we need to start looking for that person.
Right.
And then the other side of it is because it's going to be a bit of a hard sell with finding that right style person and someone we trust and someone, kind of who understands what everything's going on and blah, blah, blah. And someone who isn't scared off by the fact that the pay isn't locked in yet.
Right.
I believe that that's going to have to happen primarily through word of mouth. So really all of us using any resource we have with anybody in any schools, anybody, really any of the local schools, any of the non-local schools, to just reach out and say, do you know of any teacher who may be interested? We can almost say we're, pretty confident this is going to go through. We just can't say it's 100% guaranteed. So you really need someone who's not absolutely banking on it, but this would just be a good step in their life. And that's going to really be a tough. So I think we need to kind of, as a committee, reach out to every person we know to say, do you have any teachers in mind? Do you have any parents in mind? Do you have anybody in mind who you think would be a good fit, and get those kind of personal recommendations, which again is going to take time.
So here's a scenario. You might have one of those people on this call right now, but would I be eligible where I'm on the committee?
I don't know.
Because I am now on a teacher contract, which means summers are mine, and I certainly wouldn't mind a few dollars.
Yeah.
Who will we check on that? Who could we check with on that?
Probably Joe and Sandy and
That's
maybe
what I was
Jess.
thinking,
Yeah, so treasurer, collector,
that's
HR,
worth
and
doing.
Joe.
Yeah. I mean, that would be like great. Yeah.
I'm right
Yeah.
here. If it doesn't go through, oh well.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a great solution.
I mean, is that it, or is that a personnel board?
I think
Right,
the
'cause that's-
first, I think the first ask for just like, if we know it's a solid no, would be those three. I think they may say we're not sure, in which case it might go to personnel board, but I think they would know if it's a definite no.
Yeah.
And they may reach out from to a legal counsel to just make sure.
Yeah.
If does it need to be posted? Does it need to be?
Yeah,
I think it
competition.
would need to be.
How did that
Probably.
hiring piece go through? Was special preference given and all that type of stuff, right? Therefore,
I've seen that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen
Having
that at
just-
town
just
meetings
handed.
before.
Having
Yeah.
just
I mean,
lost an
I'd-
hour of
I'd
my
love it.
life to those conflict of interest law thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
yeah.
literally an hour of my life that I lost
Yeah.
to that. It gets longer
Yes.
every single year.
Uh-huh.
So who can follow up on this question with the powers that be?
Yeah, I can shoot out to those three and just say again, is this a definite no? Is it a definite yes? If it's a maybe, who do we talk to? Because they'll probably know if it's one of the two extremes.
Right.
they will.
And
Yep.
next steps. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, that's at least knowing we have an option is a big
Yeah, that's
relief.
good.
It'd be great
The
for
other-
everybody, right?
Yeah, great for
Yeah.
other things. The other thing that's a piece of this, and I feel like at this point I kind of know you three enough to be able to trust you with this, but the positive of doing it this way is that, not to get too personal, but Grace and I, neither of us have had now a like medical event where somebody's in healing, right? Neither of us have gone through birth where now we're caretaking for somebody recovering and a baby. This
Right.
is just a different situation. So
Right.
currently our best guess is that we're taking 1 month off solid 100%. Again, if this is kids at playtime, I'm texting, I'm, gonna help where need be, but we're trying to kind of call that 100%, and then we break where needed versus other people break where needed.
Mhm.
But then the nice thing is after that, yes, we'll still be on leave. But again, nobody's recovering, we'll have a little bit more capacity than when somebody gave birth. It's
Right.
just a little bit of a different situation. So at that point, we will be able to add in, a day, 2 days here and there, alternate from each other, things like that, to the point where this won't be so severe where people are gone for 3-4 months and just,
Right.
see ya, don't talk to me. So that's the nice thing. And again, it depends on season, right? If we're talking about November, I'm going to be a lot more like, bye, talk to you in a month, than if we're talking about July. It's
Sure.
just
But you
going to
should be. This is a remarkable time in your life. So
Yeah.
I don't want either of you to give too much away.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
agreed, and we talk about this a lot. Technology is really helpful. Again, a quick text isn't, in my opinion, taking, hey, what's the code to the safe isn't
Right.
going to take, time away. But am I the only person who knows how to get into the safe because it's actually a wonky code? Probably. Right? I don't know if anyone literally would have that answer right now. So
Yeah.
things like that, where it's like, I can be reasonable, but we're gonna, again, that's why it's kind of the trusting you three. I'm not really saying that to other people because I want them to think, hey, don't talk to me.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So the balance. But anyway, that's really it with family leave. The other side of it is there may be a little bit of off and on, especially if we're not talking about kids at playtime. Just maybe on Fridays I'll submit payroll and the utilities for the month or something like that, and pop in and because Chris and Laura, I don't know if you know, but we don't have paid family leave in the town, so we're exempt from that in Massachusetts. So I'm using all
Lovely.
vacation and sick time, which the positive of that is that I can piecemeal it. If I go
Right.
in for 3 hours, then I can save those 3 hours and use them here and all of that.
Yeah.
So it is
Right.
going to be a bit of a puzzle situation. So that, again, positive and negative, but part of it I may be kind of trying to save some sick time for when, I'm not on leave, but if my child's sick, I actually need sick time.
Absolutely.
Or if so there may be a bit of like a start, stop
Sure.
situation. The biggest area where all of this affects you all is, let's say this is March or April. That's prime interview time. And at that point, we probably will not have hired a program director yet. And if I'm, out, we honestly may be looking to see if the three of you can piecemeal being that person. Sandy, we usually have 2 people in interview. So Sandy's one. But if between the 3 of you, we can figure out interviews, we do group interviews for returners, We can do virtual interviews for anybody who lives far away so that we're not doing crazy, Saturday interviews or whatever. But what we can do is, if, let's say, Saturdays work for you, we can do Saturday interview. We'll have to work it out around you three, but that's honestly, at this point, the town's really only solution to interviews, if we don't have a program director hired and I'm off, is you three.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do
We
that.
absolutely
Yep.
can. We'll want
Yep.
very much your input as to what you'd be looking for and all
Yeah.
of that. But
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I super appreciate you all saying that. I do want to give a little bit of a heads up that last year we had 130 interviews. They're each at least 15 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yes, some are group interviews with returners, but I just really want you to at least know what you're committing to. Yes, this, is over weeks of time, but
exactly.
Right.
it's a lot. So
Yeah.
part of that may be starting earlier, starting in February and extending it to April. We might have to figure this out, but again, this is not, hey, 4 hours 1 week. Like this is a time commitment.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nope. Not
So-
a problem.
So
We
the
can
only thing
absorb
that
that.
the only thing I would think of with that part of it would be, the posting goes on the website, the mails come in, or the intent comes in. I assume we work with Sandy to make sure we can download the appropriate list. There's questions that go out to set up times, and maybe a small list of questions that we'd want to ask, and therefore they could kind of be a little prepared, right? Because I'm assuming we don't hit them cold turkey, right?
We do actually.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep, they come
But
in.
But
But
it's
it's
the same general
strengths,
questions.
weaknesses, blah blah blah. It's nothing. It's nothing really they should be shocked about.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I just I think the focus probably between now and that window, right? And I'm not saying we don't have documentation, but we should take a look at writing up that process, right?
Yeah.
Just in case we need to go, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, how do we deliberate in terms of who we pick? And then, the training things, the Corey forms and all that other type of stuff, right? That starts, right?
Yeah.
It's just, it wheels into the next element after that, getting everyone set up on that we decide to hire and who accepts. We get them set up with direct deposit stuff with Jess and all that type of stuff, right? So I mean, I think okay, I'm rattling it off in order, but it's all those follow-on steps that it's like, okay, I get that we need to do it, but either Andrew's done it before you or you've been handling that, and I don't think anyone on the Retcom side has had to do that part of it. We understand that it's getting done. It's just a matter of, right? We check the box, and you tell us that it is complete and compliant. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the nice thing is, last year, me, Jess, and Sandy sat down and we worked our butts off to get as best as we could situation. And the great thing is that worked almost exactly the way we wanted, to the point where there's minor changes for this year. So the how-tos are almost identical. The questions we're going to ask, really, I have my set of interview questions. I change one question each year, which is just a scenario question. Otherwise, those are my questions, and that's a nice thing. And we have I have a big Excel with a bunch of checkoffs to say, did they do this? Did they do this? So we know every single step that needs to be completed, because I have no memory, so I need everything written down. So the nice thing is there's very few changes for this upcoming year. We did an online application form, which means all you all need is access, and then you have every application that's come in. So those are the nice things is we've done over the last 3 years, all of the prep to like almost be ready for this moment where everything should be pretty easy to kind of continue on. And like I said, yes, I think I can trust you all with the, leave me alone. But realistically, yeah, if you need to text and say, hey, what was your password with Corey? Like,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I can do that,
Yeah.
right? It's not taking quality time away from me with my baby type of thing. So that's
Yeah.
the nice thing with all of this. But same page with you, Rick, which is we've been working on that, not necessarily for this goal, but that's kind of the nice outcome is we're pretty much already there, and it might just take, a couple of how-to documents to finish that.
Great.
I mean, the other thing too is like we'll get the documents, and then if we need to meet with Sandy and Jess for like a half an hour, we'll just do that and get briefed on any questions we have and go forward. Yeah.
And I'll let you know the biggest thing that would be on you all that I do isn't even the stuff you're bringing up. It's the emails reminding the kids when they haven't done the things. That's honestly one of the things that takes most of my time is cross-checking, did they do it? Reminding them to do it. Go back in and cross-checking, did they do it? Reminding. That is so much of my time. And I'm not kidding, unfortunately, and then having them cleared by the day they actually start work so they're not illegally working without their completed documents. And it sounds bad, but like that's manual. Check this, check that, check that, and then check in after 3 days and blah blah blah.
And
that's
these people will be running the
commitment.
These people will be running the country in the future.
Get it?
Yeah. You would think it would be good to say if they can't do it, they don't get it. But then
we'd have nobody.
Right. Well, no, then you swing in somebody else last minute, and that person also takes 3 weeks, but now they're 3 weeks behind because you gave someone 3 weeks to do it, and then they're still
Wow. Okay.
Kids
good.
nowadays.
Good.
So
good
just again, kind of warning. Again, let's all hope this just happens in like November and we're good. Everybody's favorite month is November, December. But yeah, again, the warning and I'm not going to disappear, but yeah, we can kind of all get ready for the if. And again, this could take 3 years, 5 years. I'm kind of preparing for the earliest. You never know.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
We hope not.
We hope not.
Right.
Well, we hope,
so excited.
but hope. Yeah. We hope, but hope not. Yes. Right.
Mostly
It's that double-edged sword. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. For your personal life, family, and all that. Yeah. We hope. So,
November would be great. Yes.
Yep.
November,
Yes.
December, perfect for everyone.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Early Christmas present. Perfect.
Love it.
Yes.
Right. I think I said that the other day too. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. That's really all I have with the director's report. There's a couple small things. They do not need to be brought up in this meeting. I might shoot you an email about, I want to see if we can do a holiday thing at town hall, blah, 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 but nothing we need to take time on this meeting about.
All right.
Awesome.
Congratulations. That is such good news.
This is really fantastic.
Excited.
Yeah.
We're very excited.
All right. So, okay. So the next item on the list was the select board meeting review. So, do you want to take this one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can give a rundown, and then you want to chime in if I miss anything. So, so this was the meeting between a group of parents who are trying to develop like some field and facility stuff at Nipmuc primarily. The superintendent, the board of select board, couple other people, finance committee people within Nipmuc, things like that. So there was a bunch of us, and then obviously RecCom, and it was really to just get on the same page because it sort of seemed like, based on what we were all talking about, maybe we were doing very similar things simultaneously, and that was just kind of working against each other. And also at the end of the day, it's the shared pot of money. When the school is asking for money, they're asking the town. When we're asking for money, we're asking the town. So it's all the same money. Let's kind of come up with a good plan. 5-year plan, 10-year plan of how the town is going to spend that money, no matter who it gives it to. And it started with that parent group kind of presenting their idea, which in essence is a turf field to replace the main front field at Nipmuc, with a big track and then a couple other updates here and there around, but that's kind of the big one. And their really focus with that is that high school age sports, being able to really have that be like a community feel within our town. They were bringing up some examples of there are certain teams that will not play at Nipmuc because of the way the field is right now. And so they just say, we'll only do home games. We won't come to you. And so, and then, you know, losing out money on championship games, playoff games, things like that. So really just saying like, we need to upgrade to have that star of the show turf field that people get excited, play under the lights, rah rah, have a snack box, play, you know, thing like that for the town and community feel. I think everybody liked the idea, and really the question was just our ideas with Trask. Does this conflict? Does this replace? Where does that leave that? And what order do things go in? And I think, again, I'm pretty sure, and Rick, you can correct me wrong, but I'm pretty sure I said, you know, this is my feeling, not RecCom's feeling, but I believe the priority is to do a building from us first. And the nice thing about that is that the building is primarily kids and seniors, and then sure, maybe some adults and stuff, but you're really not, this isn't, our primary group is not teenagers for this building. It's really everyone else. And then this field that they're presenting is primarily for teenage sports. So we're kind of hitting everyone if these are our top two projects. And we all just kind of have to balance, you know, it's not necessarily which one comes first because both of these need to happen, but doing the Trask thing doesn't really help their scenario, and doing the Trask thing doesn't really help our main objectives right now. So really putting that as third on the list behind these other two concepts.
So building thing, you're talking about the Kiwanis building, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think select board really just wanted to know where our priorities were. So again, that was, you know, my opinion of our priority. And they seem to, you know, a lot of people seem to agree that because those don't conflict, because they kind of work together in terms of serving the whole area, and it really helps us be a year-round department, blah, 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 all the things that those two meshed. We didn't do a ton of talking. We didn't, you know, present. I mean, we did a little bit, but we didn't, you know, they really took most of the meeting to talk about their plans. And we really said, here's some of our ideas, but yes, this works. And that's really where we left it. A lot of people had you know, there's definitely still more engineering specs and finance committee specs, and, you know, there's a lot of steps for both projects. So we're still talking 5+ years with either project. But I think they really wanted to know, we're going to, you know, they were saying, we're going to try to do some self-funding, some fundraising, some significant fundraising for this project. Are we kind of ready to go ahead with that? Because we can't start fundraising if this is going to be a no. So we, you know, we want to know, do we have the green light to start fundraising, and what steps do we need to do? Or is RecCom saying, no, we're doing this instead, or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Brett came back and he asked both of us, basically said, okay, if you had $5 million, you know, what's it go to? And Bill Casey, who's the kind of the president or the leader of their band, basically just went, yeah, it's all on that front field, right? It's just, you know, it is safety for the kids. It's got a track. It's got all the other things and that we were just talking about. But it's, you know, it's a stadium enhancement basically, you know, at the school. And you know, and then when he asked us the same question, I went, well, I mean, I get that, but I went, honestly, you know, yeah, we need other field things, but, you know, honestly, we view the building as being that item for us, right? Yeah. I said, you know, we've had tornado warnings twice over the last 3 years, and we're going to
over the last 1 year.
well, no, over the last 3 we've had, or maybe it's the last 4. We've had 2 of them in the middle of the summertime.
Right. Last year we had 2.
At least,
anyway,
yeah.
Okay, so so there were 2 last year, but there was 1, 2, like 3 years ago as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I went, so where did we bring the kids? Well, they went upstairs, right? And the Ramsey building, that's supposed to be off limits. Why? Well, you're gonna put them under a 30 by 50 tent. That's a shelter tent for rain. You can't do that.
Right.
So
Right.
You went upstairs because that's safe.
Right.
Well,
right. Upstairs
well,
in a building
yeah,
that's not considered safe.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
Yeah,
swim in the pond.
agreed,
You'll be
agreed.
fine.
You know what? Swimming in the pond probably is safer than being in the building too, to be quite
most
honest
likely.
with you, right?
Unless there's a water spout. Yeah.
Just hold on to the dock, right? So, go along the rope. So,
hold tight.
But quite honestly, I mean, I think we kind of said it, and we're like, the building needs, the Ramsey building needs a heck of a lot more, right? And that just isn't going to cut it long term, right? You can't you really can't upgrade it. Lynn, I know Lynn came back and she said, well, if you redid the stairs to spec, then you could use the upstairs again. I find that hard to believe coming from her, because there's no access for ADA compliance to get up there, regardless if we do the stairs.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that feels like money wasted. But that's that's just my internal feeling.
But
if we
outside of ADA stuff, I'm sorry, that's a mold bomb. I even feel bad with my counselors and lifeguard staff hanging out there, because it's moldy. The whole thing is full of mold. You'd have to gut it and redo it to actually have it be a place where I would say your kids are safe to spend time with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus the bathrooms. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
They're bad.
No, absolutely.
Anyway, all agree.
So they found that interesting that we, even though, because I think, Brett knows me also as the soccer guy, right? So, so he might have, not that he was shocked, but he was probably a hair taken back that I didn't say field, right? And that I certainly understand the field, right? I'd love to have the field as well. However, from a community perspective, the building gets us more breadth of opportunity. Plain and simple.
Totally agree. Yeah,
well, it's money. It's money coming in. It's money going out as well, right? I mean, it's both, right? But it gives us a place to run programs. It gives us other opportunities for. I went after school programs that this town desperately is looking for all the time, right?
It'll make it that much more attractive for these other programs if we have a really good building.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. Totally agree. If it's a state-of-the-art thing versus going behind a curtain to use the bathroom, I mean, that's a good thing.
Rag check, So anyway, so I think, long story short, I think we wanted to come back, right, and just kind of make sure, are we all on the same page? What else should we really be doing with master plan stuff? Do we, Chris, I know at one point in time you had sent out the deck. We had a separate meeting set up to kind of walk through some stuff.
Right.
I don't, you should have asked to see whether or not, do you have that handy?
I could pull it up, I think. Yeah. And I think it's in sync with what the meeting that you guys had. It's kind of like, we all have kind of shared interests and who can do what. And that was kind of my conclusion from looking at all the different plans and the, MUCP plan and et cetera, is how can we work together to get these things done? I mean, I mapped out like what fields are where kind of thing and that sort of thing. But I think, coming out of the meeting and what you've described, this past meeting is, those two objectives, I think, are really fantastic at this point. But the question I have is will Upton Rec programs have access to that field to some extent, or no?
I think.
And what are our needs versus this Nipmuc, field improvement, and what additional things do we need to address ourselves?
Right.
Hold on once. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Okay. So I can pause on that because it seems like he'll want to hear that. Yeah.
I get very hesitant about all these schools wanting Patriots Place as their field.
Right.
It's such a limited group of individuals in the town. I'm all about supporting the schools, absolutely, but it is a very limited.
And I think a bit of that is, as much as those two projects didn't conflict with each other, so they worked well together, it is town money, and it's going to be a bit of a race for that money because one's going to have to go before the other. And Joe made a good point that a lot of this is about timing. And he said this in all of the meetings I've had with him about master plan, which is, our timing is going to have to be, well, this comes onto the town budget when the library came off, or this came off, or town hall came off, or, there's a certain timing where certain fees are coming off so we can put another one on without feeling as big of a hit because we're not doubling up.
Right.
So it is going to be timing, but we're going to have to basically race them for that timing.
Yes, we are.
And yes, it's kumbaya right now I don't know if that's a bad thing to say anymore. I just said it anyway.
I hope not.
Right. Who knows? But anyway, of it works well, but it still is going to be one, then the other, and then our Trask stuff, So I think, Laura, I'm kind of in agreement with you where my personal beliefs are that our building will serve the community more. It will have more. And Chris, to kind of answer your question, yes, we are struggling with, we don't have anywhere to go with the fields. If, for instance, this season, we had to take Upper Kiwanis off, and we don't have just like another field to throw them on. So yes, of course, having another field will absolutely benefit us to maybe be able to rotate taking a season fully off of different fields and really be able to kind of not say, all right, grow everything in summer or don't, like, good luck.
Right.
But in my opinion, we're making do, and the benefit to risk of, we don't have an extra field, but how much can we get out of the benefit of a building? I think it's still worth it to go first.
Yeah. So my question is,
eventually a field would be great.
Yeah.
So the question I guess that I have is if this building is going to take 5 years to go up and get done, in the meantime, like, what do we do if they start working in that area? The softball field is gone in that at Kiwanis, right? So what do we do with all those people and those programs on the softball fields and the women's softball and all that?
Yeah, I think it's actually a little bit of a different timeline maybe than it seems. So at least from what I'm hearing from Joe, and I'm learning all this from scratch. So if I say something wrong, this is what I currently think, and who knows what I don't know. But I believe that the 5-year plan is a couple of things. It's one, because we have a ton of steps to take before we break ground. So it's not that we'll be building for 5 years. It's that we have to do the engineering studies. We have to figure out the, sewer type of stuff and the water stuff. And I don't know, whatever, all the different things, the building permits, and can we dig where there are houses and blah, 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 and the safety to the water because we're so close to that water, and parking and all of that, I believe, is why people are saying just to check all of the boxes. And everything is going to take so long, and remembering that each of those costs money. So often you have to wait for a town meeting to get approval to money to do the steps. So like if we want to get a engineering survey, we have to go to town meeting to get money for the engineering survey, and then we have to schedule the engineering survey, and then from what we hear from the engineering survey, we have to go to town meeting to do the I think that's what takes 5+ years. And so I think realistically what we're talking about, is building a building in a year, right? Year and a half might be for the building.
Yeah.
And then, yes, and they brought it up about, what happens if we get rid of that softball field. I hate to say it, but I'm sorry. It's 2 days a week, right?
Yeah.
It's 2 days a week that is being used. Yes, kids at play, and we'll have to figure out what to do. But it's 2 days a week for softball. And I think we beg BVT, and I think we beg Nipmuc, and I think we beg the VFW, and we beg other towns, and we figure something out.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, to make our first big swing of saying this is what RecCom is doing to build a softball field at Trask just feels very anticlimactic and not in the kind of best, this is what we're going to do for the town. It just doesn't feel right, like the big first opening act.
That's a better understanding for me. I think the other way I was going with that is if there were, if we do have that delay and when actual stuff starts to happen at that site, do we need to do anything at that site prior, like the dugout and all that stuff that's like a disaster? Do we actually have to do something there? And we don't have to discuss that at this meeting, but maybe just keep that in the back of our mind.
No, I actually think we should do something there. I mean, they did come in and towards the end of the summer and take the roof off and do some other stuff to, I'm not going to say make it sound, but make it less dangerous for someone to accidentally go on the roof and then have the roof collapse while they're standing on it. So there's no more roof, which is good, right?
Right.
And there's no more bleachers, so we're out of the woods with the ADA complaints.
Yep.
For now.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Good understanding. Thank you for that.
I know we're kind of transitioning to. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
No, all I was going to say is, but I think until we're able to break ground and do some stuff, I do think that there's probably a certain amount of cost that I'm going to call it, sunk cost, right? That we're not going to be able to recover to make some process improvements there in order to keep the field operational until time that, either approval's going to be given towards a building or not.
Yep.
Right. Because because the other side of that may be the town says no. Right.
Right.
I mean, and it's going to be a huge push in order to probably get it approved because, people are already kind of complaining about, they're complaining about their tax rates and all that type of stuff now.
Right.
This is not going to be helpful, but if it can be mirrored with something that comes off the books, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But only if something's coming off the books.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
And the other side of that is we are going to have to significantly look at grants to see what can we do to assist in this, not just with the building, but again with the engineering surveys and the all those little steps. And again, that's where you get that years and years of prep, is because instead of just going to the town every time, can we supplement these costs in different ways, and what's that timeline look like? And does that match up? If we can get this grant for 80%, we still need to go to the town for 20%, and then if they don't approve it, then we're off a year and all that. And I think the things before the building is, breaking ground. I do think the dugout, although I have to double check, but I believe that's been kind of pushed to DPW. We had I think we talked about it in our last meeting, but we had a meeting between me and Mike, he's the town planner, and Joe and DPW and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and they sort of said, okay, this is more of an emergency than we realized. Somebody's got to do something. And so that's where the roof came down and the caution tape went up and all of that. I don't know if that's where they ended or if DPW is still planning on taking more steps. But I do think that should happen in the next 5 years of at least shoring that up. Yeah. And I do think we should do something with the bathrooms in the next 5 years. I totally agree. We shouldn't spend $100,000, but they're bad. And 5 years is our minimum, right? This could be a 10-year plan. This could be a 15-year plan. So,
Right.
And like Rick said, this could be a never plan if the town just says flat out no. So I think we need to have our short-term something with those bathrooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been through 2 new school builds, and you have to do some Band-Aids, and they can be expensive Band-Aids because it does take a while. Ironically, once you break ground, boom, like $99 million buildings go up in 10 months. You're like, what the hell?
Right. But $20,000 bathroom renovations might not.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But that process, it's the process. And once it's finally through, it just happens.
Yeah.
But you got to be ready for it to not happen for a while.
Yeah. But 5 years, in my opinion, is quick.
Oh yeah.
For something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, again, with just where I'm at with personal and work stuff, Chris, we've kind of called you the master plan person. Obviously, it's not all on you, but I think if we can get on the same page about what are the next steps, is the next step writing something up to a grant for getting money, and then also putting in a warrant to getting money for an engineering survey. Are we not ready for that step? Is there a step before that I'm not aware of? I've talked to Joe about it, and I think a lot of times he goes, well, he does kind of the political because he's balancing us and DPW, and he doesn't want to show favoritism. But I think we do need a little bit of a set, like what are our steps and when do we need to do them? But I think if we can kind of coordinate so that, maybe we can talk about, hey, Maria, go talk to Joe, or all right, I'm talking to Joe, and then we'll check in, or whatever it is, but kind of always have a next step, even if it takes a couple months to do it, kind of know what that next step is.
Yeah.
Would be good to coordinate.
That's what I'm kind of anxious about, is like, I want to know what I need to do next.
Yeah.
And move on next. And like, if it's the bathroom thing, I'm totally behind that. And I'm willing to pursue that. After the last couple of, few times I went to the concerts, and it's just like, wow, it's not good. But yeah, so look, grant wise, I wouldn't know where to look for something like that kind of an improvement, or do I talk to Joe myself, or what's the best plan?
I don't know a ton. I know the park grant, PARC grant, is kind of the like rec grant area. Actually, not that it's for this, but Cultural Council grant is open right now. So I'm thinking of, we didn't get it last year, but I'm thinking of applying again for a movie night. So, but are there small little grants like that are 5,000 to 10,000, where we can do something small? I don't know, obviously not Cultural Council, but that just reminded me, are there little versions versus I think the park can go up to like a couple 100,000. So, it's a bigger situation. Other than that, I don't really know. I know Lynn Haggerty, I don't know how much you know her, but she tends to know a ton of grant stuff. Obviously, most of her focus is ADA related, but she generally knows a lot of grant.
But I do believe that some of those grants in the ADA space will work for the bathrooms, would work for the dugouts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good idea.
Because we are trying to incorporate those fixes into those changes. So
Yeah.
But more the building ones, I don't know.
Yeah. So those are temporary changes. And do you have the contact for Lynn?
Yeah, I can.
Can somebody send that to me?
I can do that.
I'd be happy to reach out to her and do that. And then for grants, I think we would probably need some kind of a engineering plan as to what we would actually what are we actually going to do with the bathrooms, right? Yeah.
So I think, and I might be mixing them up, but I believe it's the park grant, but there's one grant where there's actually 2 different styles. One is to actually get a grant to get the engineering and planning together. And then the other grant is for the work to be done, because it still costs money to put together the planning.
The plan.
So it could be that one. Actually, it also could be that ADA grant. I'm blanking on the name of it. Maybe MOD. But anyway, there's one where it specifically separates them. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these bigger grant situations have some money for the planning side versus only for the doing side.
Got it. Good. Okay.
And I think too, while we get in touch, kind of in coordinating with each other, Chris, we're going to have to make sure we're both clear. Because honestly, sometimes I'm even surprised about like when town warrants open up. Because again, maybe we get some massive, awesome grant to get, for the $100,000 engineering study we get $80,000 in this grant, and that's amazing. We still need that 20 grand. If we need to go to town meeting, we need to make sure that we kind of have our timing all laid out. So, because some of these grants, they might only be good for a year and then blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of that. And that's, I think, where I keep losing the ball is I'll kind of get on it for a bit. And then if I get busy with something else, I miss this step. And then now we got to wait for that. And then blah, blah, blah. So I think if kind of Chris, you can take that step back look, then I can do a lot of the steps, but I don't necessarily need to be in charge of making sure I don't miss all of the dates or steps or whatever. So kind of that zoomed out version.
Good.
Yeah, that's a lot. You're dealing with the timelines of the town. That's really tricky.
And again, and we talked about this in the meeting a bit, the timelines with these grants don't always match the timeline with the town. So sometimes you awarded something, I'm making this up, but if you're getting awarded something in June and then you have to wait for town meeting in May, what do you do?
Right. Exactly. They were not meant for town timelines.
Right.
So it's a lot of details. And when I get zoned into something, like I said, I don't always see the zoomed out version.
Yeah.
Forest for the trees.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to think, is there anything else with that? So I guess maybe do we also try to maybe reach out to Mike, i.e. town planner, to give us kind of just a rough estimate of the ABCs in terms of steps?
Yeah. And maybe even Matthew with library, because they literally just did this.
Very true.
At least someone coming from like my position, having just built a building, versus somebody who does this every day, who's like, yeah, just do this, kind of saying, hey, how did you get this pulled together?
Yeah.
Having no background in it.
That was a major accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So I can reach out to Mike then?
Yeah, Mike Antonellis is the town planner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Yeah, and then I think the only other, I shouldn't say the only other, because I'm sure I'll think of another, but another master plan thing that I was thinking is I've really been looking at the layout that was created of the plan when, Andrew put it all together. And I still have some questions on the actual placement of the building. And I would love at some point to just, and I know Chris brought up, do we want to go there and kind of roll out the architectural plans and whatever, and I didn't know if that was right for this meeting. And also we have virtual or digital versions, but, maybe just talk, because if we do get the ball rolling and we're ready to schedule engineering group to come out and do a site plan and blah, 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 if something happens quick and we haven't had a meeting, I would have just liked to kind of previously already discussed.
Yeah.
Right.
What do we all think as kind of the updated, 2 out of the 3 members are new from that time period. I'm new. are we all still in agreement on exactly the same physical layout of
Right.
where everything should go? What should this building entail? You know, the original one was a 2-story building with a basketball court at the top story versus the bottom. I'm confused. The reasoning behind that, I'm not necessarily against it. I just didn't know. And we had it built into kind of that slope so that there could be some driving straight in. Is that still our favorite idea? Again, I'm not against anything. It's just really, I wasn't the one to create it. So really kind of talking through those details with this set of RecCom, I think can make sure that we all feel good about it. And at least if we keep everything, we know why.
I like that idea.
Yeah. And one thing that I think, this is maybe almost a year ago now, we sat with Laura Heb at one point, because Laura is our liaison, right, for rec. And she had even said, if we do the basketball court underneath and it's still 2 stories, could there be a great room that's big enough to hold 150 to 200 people? Right. Imagine on a weekend in the middle of the summertime that you could actually have a wedding down there. Right. And, it's catering, it's this, that, the other thing, or something like that. But, it can hold 150 to 200 people on the beach. Right.
It opens up the possibilities.
It certainly opens up possibilities. Right. And that's, that's part of the attractiveness of, who else, right? Now we're talking about bringing in people from outside of town, right? To come in and spend money in town.
Yeah.
Those types of things, especially, spring, fall, when the beach isn't even open yet. Right. And kids at play isn't going on. And, it's, outside of pickleball, it's dormant for the most part. During the week. So
that's a really good point. I like it.
And again, not everything's money, but if we can go to town hall with some of these types of ideas to show this isn't only money out, we have ideas for money in. I do think there's a lot more selling point. I know the men's club came, I don't actually know if they made it to town meeting, but they came at least into town hall with some grand plans about a huge amphitheater to have these big concert series across the street from the community gardens.
Stebbins Farm.
And so, and again, their big sell was we can get people in from out of town, we can get concerts. That wasn't the right spot by any means, and I don't think it was the right feel for the town. But if we can hit that, if we can find the right spot and the right feel and something that the town is excited about versus kind of off, they were off on their planning or their kind of vibe of what the town would actually want, and just traffic and everything. Anyway, but if we can nail that and get something that they're like, ooh, that's a great idea, that would be a good addition, I think our chances are much better than if we just say, well, the kids could go inside sometimes in the summer.
Right. That's
right. Well, and if memory serves, and I don't have it up in front of me, but we did have like a little, amphitheater like area on the back of the building that would serve. So concert series wouldn't necessarily be at the pavilion overlooking the water. The concert series could be on the backside of the building over, kind of where home base is, projecting back out towards the outfield, which is now parking.
Better.
It's a Great Woods Lodge, lodge seating, grass feel look.
Which again, this is why go ahead.
Hollywood Bowl.
I was actually gonna say this is a little bit why again I want to take another look, because I actually don't know if I fully agree with that, in that I think one of our big selling points with something like a concert series or the pavilion rentals or whatever is that there on the beach?
Beach.
So
Yep.
I'm not necessarily saying no, but I'm saying, is there an angle thing where maybe it can be facing away where you still get the beautiful sunset looking over the water while you're watching? It's really just those conversations of,
Totally.
are we thinking about those different, not that Concert Series is our number one seller, but does it hurt to shift, or does it hurt to place that, just those conversations again with this committee of, why did we choose it that way? Is there something I'm not thinking of? Is there a better way? Maybe not. Maybe it's exactly what we want. But just
good to look at it.
Most people looking, if they're watching the band, right, and looking up at the pavilion, they're not actually looking at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, by turning it 180 degrees, they would be. They'd just be much further away from being able to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a long time off.
I mean, that seating thing can be planned out so that it works best for the actual pavilion as it exists.
Yeah.
And have better seating areas and whatever. Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a bad idea either. It just kind of go through each of those pages and kind of go, all right, hey, here's exactly what we were thinking, right? And I think Joe had even brought up some like a Trask thing, in the meeting, and and I hear, I get the snickering of, wait a minute, the baseball, softball people, they'll be hitting the ball towards the road, and that's kind of how it looks like it's laying out right now. People going, things that make you go,
Right. Good to take another look. And honestly, I'm even picturing, I did this with, I moved into a studio apartment, so I had cut out little pieces of paper to be able to move. Well, if my bed was here and my dresser was here, I'm even picturing that level of like, can we shift it and step back and talk and look, and obviously even bringing in, when we get to the point of bringing in architects and engineers, they're going to have thoughts too. So I'm not saying we have to have done all the work.
Yeah.
But can we at least think about it so that when they bring up ideas, we've already processed and thought, well, this and that, and this is our opinion and our goal.
Yeah.
Right.
I can give you such a great example of why this is so important. I walked in at the end of a build to a new building, and it was a co-located middle high school with a preschool attached. And I was the preschool director. The children had access to the middle and high school gym, technically. So they'd have to go through the high school and the middle school to get to said gym, but they were never fit into the schedule. We had no access to a gymnasium. In a $99 million building, my preschool children had no access.
No access
to a gymnasium.
Wow.
So it's great to look at things many
step back
times.
All right. All right.
Good. Oh, one related question about the Trask thing. I think we discussed this earlier, Maria, is there a time limit on when the town needs to do something on that? No. Okay, good.
Yeah. We
My
double
neighbor
checked.
was mistaken then. Okay.
Yeah. We double checked. I think I talked to Joe. I think I talked to a bunch of different people.
Okay,
and we double checked
good.
in that.
We re-looked through it, and they just said, if we're not going to use it for recreational purposes, then it needs to change, right? Then it needs to go on to its next designee of
education or something
within the trust, right? So
right.
But if we're going to do something with it with recreation at some point in time, then Upton still has that right to it.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
One thing, and I am not in favor of this, but I do just kind of want, again, new group, I want to put it out there, is when I first came in, one of the questions I had is this the only possible place for a building? Is there any reason that we should be considering other locations, Trask or otherwise? And if, again, we're probably going to get asked the question, why not here? Why not this? What about this? Blah, blah, blah. And, I have a lot of reasons why I believe the building should be there, but I think definitely, again, kind of take a step back and re-look at everything. That's something we should talk about. I know, again, kind of Laura, you were saying, or Chris, you were saying, a neighbor mentioned something. Yeah, I had an old family friend who was like, you all should put it behind this old mechanic spot,
right,
and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to me,
Rushford, sure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like the current plan makes sense because the beach is there, the fields are there, right? And people have that as a meeting spot already in their minds versus, Trask, it's like you got to build the fields first. You got to do all this other stuff first, and then you're going to have a building there and that's a longer term, much more expensive perspective. So
again,
but again, we need to be able to answer those questions. I totally agree. Yeah.
And really, and one of the, I sat down and kind of looked at what's available space, not even just town owned, but like available space in town, and what would be our options. Like if we wanted to buy this and then put it there, what would that look like? Right. I know, again, this was just one old family friend, so this is not but one of the thoughts was, well, right now we have such a beautiful, nature-filled, serene, quiet location. Why make it busy, right? You just make something else busy. So again, I think those are the types of things where we're going to have to say, well, we considered that, and these are the negatives for those spaces, or we're facing it this way, so at least all the busyness is going to be blocked by a building, and then the beach is still serene, or the trails are blah blah blah, right? We're going to have to kind of really be able to defend all of that. And one of the big ones, again, for me, is kids at play. We have access to a beach, we have access to a building. Those should be in the same thing. We're not going to bus kids to the beach every day,
right?
Yes. But again, we should just really look at it. I know one of the people were saying, look across the pond at that park that nobody ever uses.
Oh, where the cave is.
Yeah. So they were like, what about over there? You still have access to water. So again, it's just really, we all know it's a no, but
but I think, you're right. I mean, once internally we have sort of a position. I mean, I think it would make sense to bring it to a public focus group or groups or something and just say, we've put this in front of people, we've gotten buy-in. And I think that'll make it it'll be strong enough, I think, when we come out with it, but to have public buy-in will be a good thing as well. Yeah. And maybe you already thought of that. Sorry.
I like what you mentioned earlier, Maria, about going to, it's Matthew, right, with the library.
Yeah.
I came in basically and it was a done deal. I imagine that had a hard sell to be made.
Oh, it was very close in terms of the vote to.
Yeah, it was like tens of votes.
So I'm thinking they probably have a lot of insight for us. The challenges we're going to face.
That's a good point. Yeah. I'll reach out to that point.
And they got the senior center and the library wrapped into one. We're selling one thing here. One thing.
And a little bit to kind of, use something to our strength. Again, I don't know if this, I came in after that, again, same as you. I came in kind of after that was already a thing. But one of the things I did hear was that it was a little bit of they put them in a bad situation in terms of saying the old library is not ADA accessible. You cannot hold programs there and shutting it down pretty much to the point where no. And I think that was one of the deciding factors, was that so much had been stopped that they were sort of saying, all right, fine, we have to. Not saying that we should push for that, but like, if we can maybe a little bit play up, these are our limitations unless we do this.
We can play that card.
Using the card for good.
We can use that card. We own that card. We sure do.
Yep, no doubt.
It's using the card for a good reason.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and I would even say our advocate being in real estate and one smart cookie at the same time, because Laura's very smart. She's got plenty of other marketing ideas on how to be able to position and sell that in terms of a new building and that type of stuff. So I think if it's done right, it can be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a good one to have in the corner.
Yeah.
Sure.
And now that we're not necessarily butting heads with the soccer groups, right? Because before it was a little bit of people were pushing for Trask or the building. If this group with Nipmuc can alleviate that a bit, where we're saying everybody's saying both, and it's not us, Trask or Nipmuc, or building, it's Nipmuc and building, not Trask, then it a little bit takes away our own people who would deny us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and so the other thing that actually came up and out of that a little bit is, obviously, and Maria, you touched on it real quick of, we took off the upper field at Kiwanis this fall because of some of the work for the lights going in and that type of stuff. Right decision to be made. But, we really don't have, if this was the spring, there isn't another field to send them to, right? Because you've got lacrosse using it, and there's a lot more users in the spring for that field space. So, so talking with Dennis was even kind of like, okay, not having another field that we could shut down and roll, roll this group over to this other area for this particular season while this one comes back, and so on and so forth, and kind of having a round robin. And then he also said, he goes, and it might not be a bad idea that you have a junk field. And you kind of throw your eyebrows up a little bit, and he goes, it's just an open space of which you can hold the practices. It can be in the rain. You don't give a two craps about tearing it up and all that type of stuff, because you're only using it for training purposes. Right. It never goes offline, and if it becomes a dirt bowl, it becomes a dirt bowl.
Right. Better for practice, to be honest.
Right. Better to have the practices and everything else on that, and keep the other fields ready for games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And the underlying message that I got from that, which I'm going to now say out loud that I didn't say before, is that is probably more of an ultimate place for football. They do not like football being up at Leland right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They just go, it's too much centralized traffic that's just going to dig up the grass. And by the way, in the midst of this 30 days of no rain, prior to the weekend, the pump failed. No one knew it. We finally, I finally mentioned something to Dennis, and I'm like, hey, Leland's looking really bad. What the hell's going on up there? So they checked it out, and they said, oh yeah, the pump fried, because it's a dirty water area, right? So it's more of a murky pull. And he goes, that pump fails out like every 3 years.
Wow.
So he replaced it 3 years ago, and he goes, if memory serves, we had just replaced it just before just before that. So, but that field right now is not looking very good, to the point where they'd be like, now we need to take that one offline.
Right.
I mean, it's weird, but I don't know where they are. I believe that should have come in, and they probably have gotten it installed by now, but it's going to take a little bit to get it back.
Yeah.
And then if I switch gears, I think the update on Kiwanis is 6 lights are now up. They actually turned them on Thursday, I think, just to test and see how they looked and that type of stuff. So they'll need to go up and do some, bulb adjustments to get the angles right and all that type of stuff. But the electric is finally done to the point where it's through the pole and the poles are attached to the bases. So they're off the ground. Soccer has helped out again to I forget the three names, but they turned it, graded it and stuff all over again after DPW had gone up and hit it with, some other pesticide stuff to get rid of all the crabgrass and weeds and everything else that came in. So they've churned it again, and I believe DPW has now gone back in and seeded it. So it should get 2 months of solid growth time this fall.
Good.
They wanted 3, right? So we got it came together a little bit later because DPW had originally said that they wanted the poles and like they wanted all the heavy machinery stuff to be completed before we go in and regrade and seed and all that type of stuff, which made perfect sense to me. But, the poles were still sitting on the ground there for a while. So nothing was really happening. So we finally, kicked a couple of cans at people to get their backside moving. Got done, and some magic has happened over the last week. So
that's great. Good.
Things
lost a few weeks, but
we did lose a few weeks. Yeah.
It'll be a warm December, so don't worry. Maybe.
Let's hope so. Right? Let's hope so.
Which Farmer's Almanac are you looking at?
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, the same one that pickleball always looks at, right? Keep my outdoor opportunities open as long as possible. So, because they will keep going until there's snow on the surface. So, anyway, okay, so so that's some of the other field-ish things that kind of work itself into the master plan as well.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Anything else to that? So we didn't really cover director's report. You didn't send anything else out. Do we have any other new business?
I don't think so. I think we're set for Heritage Day.
Yep.
Yep, all this stuff, I was texting Chris today, but all this stuff is in my office right now, so you all can pop in whenever to grab it. I'm popping into the office tomorrow just because I forgot to print out the actual fall schedule to put in the... Actually, Laura, do you have a printer?
I do not.
Okay. No one ever does anymore. I don't either. Yeah.
I mean, I use the library because I can walk there, so it's
that's a good point.
Our printers suck, so I'm just go to the library.
Printers they just die all the time. I stopped getting them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm popping in tomorrow. I have a couple things I want to do anyway, so I'm gonna print out the fall schedule. But otherwise, everything's there. There's a table and tablecloth and yard games and blah blah blah, all that. I think there's at least Joe, I believe, is going to be there, but probably a couple other town hall people. So you should be able to get in and out of town hall pretty easily that day.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go in the morning on Friday then and pick stuff up. And then, we get all the beads and stuff, Laura. So we'll meet Friday to map that out.
Okay.
But
do you need
that'll be good.
Like letter beads? How are we in terms of beads? Because I have lots of letters.
We ordered a couple of thousand beads, I think. I don't know. We can just convene and look and see
I'll
what we
bring
need.
my letters, and then
Ironically, I had a very early dinner today with a former colleague, now a colleague again, and she's like, you're going to want to select the letters yourself and focus in on the letters for Upton and anything else you might want to do, and do not bring any letter Fs with you.
Yeah.
I was like, that is
That's
really
funny.
great idea. Don't just leave a mishmash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
But I think we'll be okay. I mean, my wife has a lot of like beading stuff downstairs too, so we'll be good for that. And looking forward to that. That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting that stuff together, Maria. That's great.
Yeah, no worries.
You took the fun out of it.
Yes.
There is no F in Upton. Yeah, and I'll
If we
return
do
those.
decide to provide other letters, they're going to have to ask for them.
Yeah.
And if
Yes,
they use the letter
yeah.
F and the letter U, they're not allowed.
Yeah.
That's
no,
right.
thank
We'll
you.
we'll need
Yeah.
to see an ID for those. Yeah.
No
Oh, yeah.
letters for you.
Hey, just tell them that, no scissors either, because that P could become an F really easy.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And we'll bring those games back on Saturday afterwards, so that you can use them on Sunday, Maria. So that's perfect.
Thank you.
Works well.
Great. All right.
Good.
This is my latest.
Hi.
Oh.
Ah,
This
Cutie.
is my adoptee.
Oh.
It's very
Ah.
quiet as compared to
Yes.
the dog we have here tonight.
I haven't heard either one of them. Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's good.
Tired
Yeah.
guy.
We're taking care of my son's dog, so he was like barking his behind off for the entire meeting, and I was like, I hope they can't hear that.
Didn't
Yeah,
hear a
no,
thing.
Didn't hear
haven't
it
Oh,
all.
that's good.
Not
Perfect.
a
Good.
single
Good.
bark.
Good. Good. Very good. I think
All
we're
right.
set then. I will send the past minutes to Denise and see if she can post those, and I'll send these minutes out in the next week for you guys to review.
Yep.
We can approve those in the next meeting and go from there.
Sounds good.
When
Good.
is
All
our
right.
next meeting? Do we have that set?
Yeah. Next meeting.
Not quite
Oh,
yet.
yeah. Next meeting. Yeah, because I think
Take a peek.
I've got a couple Wednesdays that might be tight, but Thursdays aren't going to be any better. So
Let me grab my book.
I mean, I don't have anything on my calendar for any days, so I'm pretty open.
I'm jealous.
I was going to say,
Well,
Ah.
it pays to be laid off and not wanting to go back to work.
all right. So
So maybe aim for the. I don't think there's anything
Well, Rick, do we want to?
town-wise. The
23rd?
Yeah, Rick,
23rd
do we
is
want to go based on
Wednesday.
what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you got, Rick?
that's what I'm trying to go back and look. So we said, I'm thinking of CPC. So CPC, we were planning on having a separate one-off meeting based on, there's a CMRPC thing.
I don't even know
forget
what that
what
is.
it's talking
Nope.
about, but it's
Alphabet soup.
Whatever you
it's,
say, Rick, we'll believe it.
Nod and smile.
but that's the 16th. Okay, so
16th,
if that's the
okay.
16th, how about the 23rd?
That works for me.
Yep, I'm
Works for
open.
me.
All right, cool.
So I'll request any agenda items on the 16th. Get
Yep.
those to Denise on the 17th. And we'll go from there.
All right,
Should be pretty
sounds-
straightforward, I think. It's
Yep.
kind of
Do we
quiet
wanna
in the
meet
fall.
In person? Are people up for that?
I'm
or-
up for that, yeah.
I-
We should, at some point, we should meet in person.
Yeah, I mean, no, and if we do that, that should give us, maybe it's an opportunity to get Maria's architectural skills to
Yeah.
do little building.
Little scissor cut
little-
out and move them around.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
to-
Maria,
you know,
you provide the graph paper. We'll show up.
Yes.
we'll cut out any of those leftover peas and then
Yeah.
just kidding.
We'll save those letters, Rick, from the Heritage Day.
And I'll bring my fancy cutting scissors that have the loops and all those good things.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Oh boy. All right.
Very good. All right.
All right. Very good. So motion to adjourn 8:30.
Second.
Second,
All right. And we are good.
that's an out.
Awesome. Good meeting.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
to see you guys. Maria, have
All
a
right,
good
good to see you too.
whatever you're gonna do. Have a good break or whatever.
Yeah,
Thank
enjoy.
you. All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.